Leave that.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello. Welcome back once again to Blame Your Brother, the best quarantine podcast in the universe. All three of us are back once again from the confines of cyberspace, all doing this show just for you, the people who we love. That's right. There's three of us come to you every week. I am 1/3 of that trio. I am David, aka D Brew, voice of the people, Mr. 40%, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget. And I am joined by this gentleman who sits over to the left of me in the world of the internet. It's my brother. It's Lee.
What up, everyone? It is the official Hermit, and of course, the one and only LeBron safety pin.
And then we have this guy this week in video for all the internet to see. It's the one, the only. It's John.
Hey, everybody, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, the Italian Stallion, Mr. PTI, the Madman.
All right, that's us, David Lee John, coming at you hot and heavy. Now, if everything goes as planned, baby, we got the Shadow Patriot, Nashville's own superhero, joining us in under 3 minutes. He said he's going to call in at 8:05. We will see if that happens or not, but we'll start the same way we do before he gets to us. Any apologies, retractions, or omissions? Lee, I'll start with you. Anything you need to apologize for last week's episode?
I got nothing.
All right.
Actually,
John,
no, I do have something.
Oh, hold. There we go. Go ahead.
So we had a guest last week, Bree Smith, who came out in the news because of some controversy with Daniel Breezy and a hot mic that's happening because all the news people are working from their home. I guess not as technical setup as they were in the studio. So hot mic went out. There's some words said, kind of embarrassing. And come to find out, you knew about this before the episode.
No, you a lie.
No, you after the episode, you were like, I got some inside information about Daniel Breezy and a hot mic.
It was during the chat during the show
chat
from Jason Steen. I didn't know about it.
We're gonna have to put you on the lie detector test on that one.
John, did this happen in the chat or not?
It said it in the chat. Jason Steen, did you guys hear about what Daniel Breezy said about it?
Look, we don't need your truth, okay? John, just go with this,
we don't
okay?
I'm sorry.
We don't need your truth, son. Yes, obviously. Well, Daniel Breezy never said anything about it, and it kind of just went away, which is really a guideline on how to handle any controversy that comes your way. Just don't talk about it unless you're Bill Cosby or Weinstein, and then you end up in prison.
Safer at home. Safer at home.
Yep. So anything on a minor scale, just don't talk about. So, John, anything you need to get off your back for last week? Anything?
I need to apologize for this week because this week people have to look at me.
Oh, yeah,
and last week they were off the hook. And congratulations if you got to tune in next week. Last week you didn't have to look at this, but now I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I think I was good. Bree Smith was a great guest last week. The numbers were back up in the downloads. People were definitely interested in hearing what she had to say. She was a great guest. So we love it, man. I talked to Adam Cox, our friend from the UK, head writer for the website. Talked to him yesterday, put the episode up on blameyourbro.com, and we had a good talk. So I love, in these trying times we're in where, things are crazy, you're isolated. It's good to still reach out there and talk to people every once in a while. I love that. So we're still kind of trying to get through all this. So Shadow Patriot, if people don't know, if he does call in, is deemed Nashville's official superhero, I guess by himself. And he is a grown man that dresses up in a superhero outfit and patrols the streets of Nashville. He helps homeless community, and then he also fights crime. As he said in his own words, he has had to fight people in alleyways. So that being said, John, what are your initial thoughts on that? Go ahead.
I'm wondering, does he have like a Patriot cycle? You know, like a Batmobile, but like
okay. Are you going to ask him that if he calls in?
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to ask him about his utility belt? Oh, here he is.
Oh, here we go.
Is he on the show? Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Very good.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Yeah. So we're talking about you right now. So we are joined by Nashville's official superhero. It's the Shadow Patriot.
Greetings. And let me correct you. I've never called myself a superhero. So that's someone else that calls me that. So
the news dubbed you a superhero in the piece we saw, which is how we came to discover you. It was I believe a News 5 feature.
Yeah, Channel 5, yeah.
Which was shot very well. It looked great. It was phenomenal. It raised my interest. Everyone I work with now has talked about it. We were talking about it for a long time. People are interested. You're like, in this day and age, you're it right now. So my first question to you, how do you capitalize on that success? Is there anything you're doing right now to keep your awareness out there? Because, you're doing a lot of good things with the homeless community, streets of Nashville. How do you take all this, traction that's your way and keep it going?
Well, when you say capitalize, that kind of puts a spin on it that I'm not into. Okay, there's no money involved with this. I don't do this for any gain for myself. Any donations or whether it's money or whether it's items, all that goes right back out. I don't keep any of that stuff. So I'm just out there doing my thing, and so capitalizing on it is not necessarily what I do.
Gotcha. So what is the origin story of the Shadow Patriot? What's the basis? How do you end up doing this with your life? Is there a story? Is there a tale? Is there something that was an inspiration for you?
Yeah. If you want to go way back, when I was very young, something came to me, and whether you want to call it a voice or a feeling or something, I don't know if you believe in God. I think God spoke to me as a young boy. And this voice, this feeling said, someday you will be a superhero. And it was just, this something came over me, and it wasn't anything that I acted upon. It was just, I knew it was going to happen, and I forgot about it. Years went by, and I became a man. And over time, I was an American, but I wasn't necessarily a patriot. I didn't understand what being a patriot was all about. I choked up when I saw the parades. I understood the 4th of July. I got what the Constitution was all about, but I was just an American. I wasn't a patriot. And then one day, 9/11 happened. And suddenly, I understood what being a patriot was all about. I thought differently. My blood ran redder. I was fired up, and I knew what patriotism was all about. And what's funny is that everybody did. All of a sudden, everybody got what being a patriot was all about. Suddenly there were yard signs, there were bumper stickers, there were flags flying. People were standing on the steps of Congress in unison, singing. Gradually, time went by, and people began to forget. You didn't see as many flags. You didn't see as many bumper stickers. You didn't see as many people saluting the flag. People forgot. And I couldn't forget. I couldn't go back to being what I was. So, as a, quote, civilian, I began to do what I could. Supporting the country, flying the flag, speaking up about America. And slowly I began to realize that it wasn't enough. I needed to be out there doing something, protecting people who couldn't protect themselves, standing up for America, doing my thing. And I began to think, what can I do? What can I do? And then one day I realized the sacred mission that I was charged with when I was a kid. And I said, I'm going to do this. And ideas began to roll in my head. How am I going to do this? What does this even mean to be a superhero? What does that even mean? I mean, that's crazy. I mean, what does that mean? And so I began to think about what does that mean? I began to create a uniform. As an artist, I have this ability to design. So I wanted the uniform to work and to be functional and real. And I slowly began to work on the uniform. And then once I got it figured out, I had to create it. I had to buy pieces, and I had to design all of that. And finally, I got it. And as I was doing this, I was thinking, I wonder if there's anybody else doing this. I mean, are there real-life superheroes? So I just Googled it, and all of a sudden, this entire world came up. There are people doing this. I'm not the only one who has decided to take upon themselves the hero ideal. So as I began to research this, I discovered others who wanted to make a difference exactly the way I wanted to. And they too have chosen to reject apathy. They want to make a difference. So I contacted a couple of those, just trying to get some information, but I realized that what I wanted to do was different than a lot of what they wanted to do. I knew I wanted to help homeless people, help veterans, promote America, just make the world a better place. I wanted to be here to help. And I knew that there would be 4 things that I would be involved in: serving, protecting, informing, and inspiring others. So that's how I designed who the Shadow Patriot is and what the Shadow Patriot is all about. As a realist, I knew that this is a dangerous undertaking. This is not something to be taken lightly. I knew that at any moment I could get my brains blown out. So with a great amount of prayer, I stepped out. And that's how the Shadow Patriot was born.
There you go. We sound very, very passionate about it. When you talk about the dangers of going out, I feel like, people can confront dangers, but did you ever think, this is later on in life, did you ever wonder what the public would think about you if they saw you walking down the street? Were people going to ridicule you? Were people going to laugh at you? Were people going to mock you? I mean, were these things ever pop in your head? Because these are things I would think of automatically, more so than, I might get shot today or beat up. I'm thinking more like, is this even going to work? Is this, like you mentioned, the 4 things you're trying to do? I would be thinking, am I doing this in the right way where it's actually going to inspire people, or is it going to be more of the butt of a joke? Did you ever think about that?
Not too much. No, this was so ingrained in me, and I was so turned on by what this could accomplish that I never really considered it. Because there's always a little bit, off in the corner of my brain, thinking stuff like that. but I have a very healthy ego, and I have never worried about what other people think of me, especially when I know that what I'm doing is good. And I know that you guys were a little bit snarky about it when I listened to your program, and we'll talk about that later on. But no, I've never worried about it.
I mean, John is listening right now. John,
Yeah,
I mean, he's essentially
hey, John, what's up,
calling
man?
you out for your snarky comments. John, go ahead.
There's a lot of questions I have about the setup. You said
go for it.
There are others that do it too. Is there any future superhero team up?
A superhero what?
Like Justice League or something like that?
I think he's a citizen hero, John.
There are teams.
I think he's a citizen
there
hero.
are teams. You know, it's always good to have someone get your back, and I don't do that. You know, I'm pretty much a loose cannon, and I go out. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I don't want to have to tell somebody else what to do. But there are teams. Extreme Justice League is one of them, and they have branches all over the U.S. But there are probably 200 different superheroes that call themselves superheroes across the U.S. And I've never done that. That's one of the biggest differences between me and the other folks, because I don't consider myself a superhero. I consider myself an ordinary guy who has taken upon himself the hero ideal and chooses to go out there and help however he can. I've never claimed that title of superhero, because I think with that there's a lot of baggage that goes with that. People immediately assume that you're saying something about yourself, which I'm not.
So I have a question. This is Lee. What is your relationship with local law enforcement? Obviously,
very good.
Well, you say you go on patrols.
Very good. When we meet on the street, we shake hands. I thank them, and they always thank me for what I do. I've never had any problems with law enforcement.
Well, let's talk about, problems. Like I just now doing this interview, I had 2 masks behind me. I had a luchador mask and a Halloween mask. And I put those on for like a few minutes, and I was claustrophobic, couldn't breathe, wouldn't be able to help anybody. I mean, how many variations of this costume did you go through? Was it like the first costume you built? Did you have like a full Rorschach mask at first, or the goggles?
No, because I'm not playing a superhero. I'm the real thing. Okay, I'm not playing a superhero.
Well,
what I wear is not a costume. What I wear is a uniform.
But it's a cape.
This is what I go out and work in.
But how many people wear capes police officers don't wear capes? You're acting like.
Well, what's that got to do with it? What does that have to do with it?
It's a superhero outfit. I mean, you're hiding behind like you're not a superhero, but dude, capes aren't conventional.
I don't wear a cape. And I don't wear a mask.
You don't have a cape on?
I don't have a cape on.
Okay.
I've got a duster.
Oh, I thought you had a cape. Okay.
Definitely no cape.
Well, see, you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're here for. Misinformation, right?
Well, that's something else. And I guess it was you when I said there were women being attacked on the bridge, you were like, oh, that totally isn't true. No, dude, it is true. And if you would study police reports, you would find out what's going on in your town.
You know what's funny? I worked for the police department for 20 years and took reports that entire time. So I kind of know the data behind that.
No, I don't think that's funny. I appreciate what you did. But then I said, I don't appreciate what you said. You know what's funny? No, I don't think that's funny.
No, it's ironic that you're like, hey, man, you need to go study the data. I was the data.
No, you need to go study. If you don't know that people are being attacked on the bridge, then you need to inform yourself.
Well, okay, can we back this up for a second? Can you share with the listeners at home, all like attacking aside, David and Shadow Patriot, maybe you can walk us through one of your patrols in which you encountered an incident you can describe in detail what happened so that people are educated about what is going on and what your role is in these situations and what you're doing to help out.
Yeah, I would be glad to do that, and I would be also glad for you to come along with me sometime. Anytime you want to go with me, you're welcome. But let me tell you about an incident.
Yeah,
that
let's go
happened on
through
the
that.
bridge.
Let me hear a little bit more first before I commit. That does sound fun, though.
I was on the bridge. I was doing my patrol. This girl walks by, obviously scared out of her mind. And I'm thinking, what is going on there? 6 or 7 paces behind her is this guy walking right behind her. And I thought, this is going to be interesting. So I immediately get behind him a few paces so that he doesn't necessarily know I'm there. They go toward the elevator. When she gets to the elevator, she veers over and is going to try to get on the elevator. When she gets to the doors, this guy follows right behind her. She is smart enough to know this guy's following her. Immediately, when she turns that corner to follow her, she jumps back onto the bridge and heads forward. He immediately makes the left and begins to follow her. He looks over and sees me coming at him, and he takes off. He knew that I was there. We both knew he was going to attack that woman. Well, he takes off. I follow the girl, and I said, "Madam, are you all right?" She turns around and screams. And she said, "Oh, I thought you were that guy." And I said, "No, I'm not that guy." And I saw what was going on. "You're safe now." She thanked me. So that's what goes on the bridge.
There you go.
It would have been bad if I hadn't been there.
Okay, I mean that's fair. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like it never. And there's no crime in downtown Nashville, I mean, but
I don't know if you still know a lot of people on the police force, but I do. I have a sergeant who sends me regular police reports. Okay. Regular. I get like 4 a week about what's going on, and if you're not involved with it daily, you would not believe what goes on downtown. The craziest things goes on downtown.
Can you give us details? Are
Nothing
you privy
good
to release?
Happens after midnight.
Can you kind of give us the breakdown on what these bad things are?
Well, guys stripping off women and robbing them. Guys jumping people on scooters, knocking them off the scooters and robbing them. Women who now have a ring. They're coming out of Atlanta and Memphis. They get the guys in the bars. They get the guy drunk. They slip him a Mickey. The next thing the guy knows, he's laying in the alley with no wallet. This is a big deal downtown right now.
Okay, so we know
their accomplice.
Yeah. We know crime is rampant, obviously. I mean, even though the mayor has said this is the safest big city in the world, but
right.
Move on past that.
That's only
the mayor doesn't want to talk about it because he wants tourists to come in. That's the problem. Nobody's hearing about the crime downtown because the mayor wants everybody to go downtown. So what he's doing is feeding people to the lions.
Mm. So, I mean, the question I would have...
I'm not the only one that says this. The policemen that I talk to say the same thing.
Right.
The police don't necessarily have respect for the mayor or the Metro Council, which I have dealt with.
Now, there was a rumor going around that maybe you were one of the council members. Can we get that refuted on air right now?
I'm not a council member, but I have dealt with them.
You are not Brett Withers. We're good to say that live on the program right now.
Not me.
Okay, good.
And if it's all about the mustache, wrong.
Okay. No, it's just that was brought up to us. A couple of tips came in on our emails. So I said, I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. But why the mask, though? That's what people are asking in the chat room. Why?
Yeah, there's no mask. I don't wear a mask.
Why do you wear goggles?
I wear goggles. I wear goggles.
Will you give your name live on the air right now, or is there a reason you have anonymity?
No, because that's not what I do. It's not about me. That's one reason I wear what I wear, because it's not about me. I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, Joe Blow does this."
Right, but you're
Joe
not.
Blow doesn't do that.
You're not trying to hide your identity. You just don't want people to know it because it would take away from what you do.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
That takes away from the mission. That takes away from the reality of what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
That would give people the ability to say, "Oh, he just wants publicity." I don't want publicity. I just want to do what I do and help other people. If I get the publicity, that's great, because all that does is point attention to public safety, America, veterans, and the plight of the homeless.
So
if it was about Joe Blow, then it's going to be, "Oh, Joe Blow said this."
So have you noticed
people are able to go ahead?
I was going to say, obviously, a lot of people are being told to be safer at home, to self-isolate. So obviously that's probably ramped down your patrols. Are you still going out of patrols in these trying times? And do you have any words of advice about the COVID-19 outbreak?
I do still go on patrols because people are still being hurt downtown and other areas. I don't go as much as I was. The biggest reason is I have a loved one who has been in and out of hospitals and nursing homes and care facilities, and that's the problem with doing what I do, is that your daily life can get in the way of the mission. But taking care of your loved ones is also part of the mission. So I'm not able to get out as much as I should because I have this person. Go ahead.
Right, but you would follow the governor's advice, the mayor's advice, that people need to stay indoors and stay inside and stay isolated. Do you follow that public decree by our officials?
I'm going to say no.
Okay, and why?
Because that is non-constitutional. My biggest thing about all of this is that look at what's going on and ask yourself, is this constitutional? Now, I don't want to take anything away from the mayor. I don't want to take anything away from the governor. But the mayor and the governor cannot control commerce. There's nothing in the Constitution that says they can do that. As a matter of fact, our First Amendment says we have the right to gather in groups. And yet the mayor and the governor are saying, no, you can't do that. Well, we have a lot of good men and women who fought a revolution to give us that right.
What about the scientists who say that, the only way to kind of slow down the spread of the virus is to socially distance from each other?
Well, I think there's other things going on. I think it's really funny that there are states who don't have any kind of lockdown. There are cities who don't have any kind of lockdown. Their instances of infection and mortality are no different than the ones who do have lockdown. There are countries, let's say India, they don't have a lockdown. They don't have a quarantine. And yet
they actually do. They actually do have a lockdown and a quarantine in India.
All right, well, give me a site to go to. Because the last I researched it, India has all these people. They don't have any sort of lockdown, and their instance of infection and mortality are no different than, say, Italy. So if you want to get me that information, you got my email. I would love to see it.
All right, that'd be Lee. Lee, if you can send that information. I mean, I would tend to find it hard to believe that India, one of the most populated countries in the world.
Right. That's the point. It's one of the most populated and dirty, and their instances are no different than Italy.
Well,
Italy is saying they're losing a lot of old people to this disease. Well, what they don't tell you is that over the last few years, that's the trend in their country anyway. Old people are dying at a higher rate. It has nothing to do with coronavirus.
I think that's most countries.
Yeah, I mean, that probably is most countries, to be fair. I mean, that's how it works. But Have you been able to?
Well, no, I'm saying it's an inordinate amount. If they're losing a higher number of older people in Italy than other countries. That's their norm. Okay, and so yes, they're losing more that have the coronavirus because traditionally over the last few years they've been losing more older people.
Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on the COVID-19. Obviously, there's a lot of information on both sides out there, so I would encourage people to go to a primary source such as the CDC or the WHO. But I did have a question from the chat. Someone wanted to know, based on your mission and what you've said, why didn't you pursue the path of becoming a law enforcement officer yourself?
Because I don't want people telling me what to do. I don't want a sergeant. I don't want a commander. If I want to do something in a certain way, I'm going to do it that way. I don't want to have to wait for somebody to tell me to do it. I admire police. I'm all into it. You know, one of the biggest things that I like to do is take donuts to the police station because nobody ever thanks them. I am so much into the police. As a matter of fact, one of my first missions, I took donuts to the downtown police station, and I went tapping on the door. And this was late at night. Finally, an officer came to the door, and he was completely shocked. He said, "You have no idea. No one ever thanks us." He took my picture. Later, I saw him on the street, and he said, "I've got that picture in a frame in my office for inspiration," which just completely humbled me. A police officer who risked his life every day has a picture of me in his office for inspiration. I mean, that's humbling.
So, I mean, fair to say then you're more libertarian than anything. You want to follow the rules of the Constitution, understand that, but you don't like really people coming in and telling you what to do. That's a fair baseline.
Well, I'm a common sense constitutionalist is what I am.
Okay.
I don't like labels. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm not a libertarian. I love following the law, but if it's constitutional law, that's my criteria.
Yeah. Well, that's
and this whole and I know you said you didn't want to talk about it, but this whole coronavirus has shown that fear makes people willing to give up their constitutional rights.
Or common sense. I mean, you talk like it's a bad thing to stay inside and not get around people.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I never said that.
But you are saying it.
Okay, I have another question. I have another question from the chat. Let's try to keep it off the COVID-19 talk if we can. So a listener in the live chat wants to know, do you open carry when you patrol, like a firearm?
I'm not talking about what I carry. I'm not talking because think what that would say say a bad guy. Okay, let's just call it a bad guy is listening. Whether I carry a pea shooter or whether I carry an AK-47, why would I tell anybody what I carry? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, that's understandable. So they were just curious.
There's some things that I can't talk about.
Are there any other gadgets?
Do you have like sunscreen in your utility belt or whatever you call it? Okay. Do you have any?
No, that's a dumb question.
No, sun cancer could kill you. What are you talking about? You need to put on sunscreen every day you go outside. I mean, you're outside during the day, right?
That's a dumb question. That's a dumb question.
It is a dumb question.
I just want to know
we all know that's a dumb question, and I know you're the guy who wants to be the snarky smart mouth. I get it. I listen to your program. That's a dumb question.
Well, I appreciate you listening. John, you got a question?
I've got a question. So, I'm not interested, but if there are listeners that are interested that want to follow this path, what recommendations would you give them on preparedness and training before they actually get out there and start patrolling?
Take it very seriously. Go into it knowing the dangers. Know that you can get your brains blown out at any minute. It's constant. You have to understand that. You can be jumped just like I have. And just like one of you made fun of when I said on the story that I got jumped, guys jumping out of an alley, it happens. I've had to wrestle down people at 3rd and Broad. Things happen. And just because you don't hear about it, that's good. That's a good thing. I don't want you to know a lot of this stuff. I'm there for the people getting hurt, not for the publicity. So you have to pray about it. You have to get serious about it. You have to know the dangers. Talk to the police. Find out what's going on. Make friends with the police just like I have. Get someone to send you police reports just like I do.
So
you have to take it.
I have a question. Do you have any formal combat training or military background, any kind of martial arts that would, help you wrestle these perpetrators to the ground?
Well, that's something else that I'm not going to talk too much about. I've never been in the military, but I can take care of myself.
Okay.
All right, so
there's
so
several people in the chat are asking.
Yeah, we got a good one from the
same
chat
question,
here. This is from Robin, who listens to us religiously. Thank you, Shadow Patriot, for your service. But do you think that at any time you could get in trouble for butting into something that legal officials should be handling instead?
Yes. Yeah. But that's why Tennessee is a citizen's arrest state. You have to study the laws. You have to know what you're capable of. And yes, you can get put in jail for getting involved in something and not doing it correctly. There is a way, there is a system that you have to follow. There are words you have to say, actions you have to take. And fortunately, Tennessee is one of those states where if you see something bad happening, if you feel that that person is going to get hurt or killed, you can get involved. But you really have to learn the law. You really have to learn the laws of your state. Every state's different. Tennessee is a pretty good state when it comes to that kind of thing. There are some cities where you can't wear a mask. I don't wear a mask. That's why I chose to go with goggles and helmet. It's utilitarian. There's nothing against the law with what I wear. It's all functional. Basically, it's a glasses and a hat.
Okay, I have another question. So, in the same vein, obviously there's some details you probably are not allowed to talk about, and that's fine. But have you ever been sued or found yourself in litigation because of this?
Nope.
Okay, well
because anybody I've ever come in contact with knows they're in the wrong.
Okay, so
and
Russ,
I've never done anything. I've never done anything that. How can I say this? Yeah, I've never done anything that can be misconstrued into something that was bad, and that's about as far as I can go. But no, I've never been sued. I've never had to be sued. Perpetrators know when they're in the wrong. That's what I'll say.
Now, do you want to go into detail about a project you're working on or were working on before the coronavirus happened? Are you? I mean,
yeah.
I'm being vague where I don't want to step on any toes, but.
Are you talking about the documentary?
Yes. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
No, I would love to. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go.
For a long time, people have said, man, we want a documentary. We want to know what you're about. Who are you and what are you doing? So a number of companies have come to me and said, we want to do a documentary on you. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the HBO Superheroes documentary, but it's about real life superheroes. That's what the groups are called, RLSH, real life superheroes. And HBO did a really kicking documentary about some of these people. Parts of it are humorous, parts of it are serious, parts of it are inspiring, but it's because every one of the real life superheroes has a different personality. You get that on this documentary. So you see the good and the bad, pretty much. And people have said, we need something like this about you. And I said, that's great. So a number of companies have come to me and said, we want to do this. But I'm very hesitant about allowing people to get involved and get right into the nitty-gritty, because I want this to be serious. I want it to be portrayed as serious, because it is to me. There's nothing funny about what I do, and I want people to take it seriously. And so, off and on things have happened, and then they fall through. And I get it. That's life. And then the gentleman who did the News Channel 5 story, we spent weeks and weeks and weeks doing that. He went out with me on multiple nights, multiple days. So we became pretty close. So he said someone contacted him about doing a documentary. And I said, well, cool. All right. And so I contacted this guy, and he works in television and some other things. We got together, kicked some things around, and I said, I think you've got the right attitude for this. And so we've been working on it. We've gone out once or twice and did some interviews, and so it's going good. But yeah, then the whole coronavirus thing happened, and that's kind of kept us from doing anything. But during that, I talked to you guys through email, and I would love to have you guys be a part of it and document some of our conversations, and maybe get together at a public question and answer thing. Whatever you guys would want to do, man, I'm totally into it.
I'm down for it. And if I'm asking you snarky questions, these are the questions that people ask when people talk about this at parties or functions or events. I'm just giving you the questions that people are asking. So
no, I get that.
Right. I mean,
there's this lack of respect that really gets my hackles up. And what, we're going to see a Batmobile running around now. Dude, how do you know I don't already have that?
Do you?
That would be pretty cool.
Do you?
I have a vehicle. Yeah, I have a vehicle.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you, now it's a serious question. I mean, you can take them as snark or what, but would you take on a protege? Like, would you take on a sidekick or someone that would learn from you and do it right? Is that something you ever would do?
Yes. As long as, like I say, they understand that they could be killed at any moment. I don't want to be the catalyst for your death. So it would have to be a very serious undertaking. And I have one gentleman who has contacted me about what I can offer, help wise, and his name is Blue Fox.
Is that his?
He said that he was inspired by what I do, and he is in another city, and we talk back and forth. So,
okay. So
Blue Fox, if you're listening,
Blue Fox,
Yeah.
Shout out to the big Blue Fox. So is he like? Would he be? What would you require someone to? I mean, if I just want to come as me, no secret code name, no hiding my identity, is that something you would go for, or would you rather be like, you probably want to hide your name for like whatever reason you said, whether it's I don't want to take credit, or even if it's for, if people know who you are and they know you're out in the streets, you're right, they may come after you. Would you want
right?
them?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want people to know your name. Anonymity is the first line of defense. As soon as I say, well, yeah, my name's Joe Blow, well, somebody's going to be looking you up. Well, Joe Blow lives over here in 5th and Main. Yeah. Now your family's in danger, your friends are in danger, and you're in danger because they know where you live.
I don't have a lot of friends, so that wouldn't be a big issue.
Everything, oddly enough, now I'll mention Stan Lee. And like I say, I'm not about emulating comic book characters. But if you read those early Marvel comics, he had it right. As outrageous as they were, he understood about keeping your identity quiet and the problems that you have. And of course, that's what made Marvel comics what they were, because it was average guys who had these powers and they were dealing with daily problems. That's why those stories are different than the DC storylines. And Stan Lee, for whatever reason, understood what it's all about. And I don't know if that's because he maybe secretly wanted to be these guys, or if he was just smart enough to know and anticipate the problems that you would have if you decided to do this. But many times when I'm out and dealing with problems, I'm thinking, golly, Stan knew. He predicted this. He knew what this was going to entail. He got it. And it still amazes me, some of the things that he thought and introduced into his stories that are exactly the situations that happen on the street. Okay. So yes, I would never ask anyone to get involved, but if someone was serious enough to come to me and say, dude, I want to be a part of this, we would have to have a sit down. I mean, I've got criteria, no drinkers, no smokers, no drug users right off the bat, because you've got to be healthy. I've got to be able to count on you.
So so on that question, so you don't think like someone, a marijuana smoker, a weed smoker, pothead, you don't think that's beneficial for your health over a long term?
No, I don't.
Okay.
How much can you
anybody
bench
who thinks
lift?
that has been duped by the drug culture.
Oh,
honestly, if you read the reports that have been hidden, there are many scientists who have studied that and say marijuana is bad for your health. So if you want to do that, I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do. But if you're going to be on the street with me, I've got to be able to trust you. And I've known enough marijuana smokers that they will sell you out to get their pot. Plain and simple.
Wow.
Did you say
I'm
those
not saying
reports
it's
were
right
hidden?
or it's wrong. I'm just saying, as an individual, I can't have you as someone that I got to trust.
Okay. All right. So they can't drink, smoke, do drugs. We got all that. So what are the other requirements you were going to list?
Well, you have to be able to take care of yourself. You've got to be willing to do some sort of basic self-defense.
Okay.
And that would probably entail the two of us going at it. I've got to know what you're capable of.
A little tussle. Okay. All right. Now you're talking about for a sidekick. You're not talking about for just tagging along. We're not going to have to like wrestle.
No, not tagging along.
Okay.
No, if you're coming along and filming, that's one thing. But
that's just okay. You're talking about for permanent position, because John was interested. I mean, he talked to us off the show, but he's kind of worried he couldn't come up with a good name. That's why I was asking you earlier. Would you have to come up? Because I would imagine they've already sent you the design for their outfit, or no?
Well, they bounce ideas off of me, and they say, "How about this?" And I give them my opinion. I'm never going to tell anybody what to wear, what not to wear. As far as, like, I heard you say something about utility belts, or one of you say something about utility belts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have a requirement. If you're going to be with me, number one, you've got to have water with you at all times.
Wait a minute. You're running me down for the sunscreen, and then your water. I mean, those are both essential.
Yeah, of course. No, you never know. It gets hot when you're on the beach.
That's what I'm saying.
You may have to help someone.
Shadow Patriot. Dude, you ran me down like a dog earlier for the sunscreen comment. I don't think it's that weird, because I don't know what's in a utility belt. Give us the stuff you can tell us leak. I know you can't tell us about a gun, and I totally get that.
I just told you.
So
man,
water. What
give me
else?
a chance to talk.
Okay,
water.
go ahead.
Why is that? Because when it's 90 degrees outside and you've got 3 layers uniform on,
Mm-hmm.
you need water. I'm not going to have a sidekick, as you call them, which I hate that term, but my partner, whoever, no, they're not going to be fainting dead away of heat exhaustion. No, you're going to carry water. You don't have to carry sunscreen. There's very little of my skin that shows, okay? So again, stupid. That's stupid.
I think
have
it's
a
stupid.
serious
You're calling that
question.
stupid, though,
No
dude. I mean,
sunscreen.
Would
Water.
you
Water,
wrestle
number
David?
one.
Would
Water. You've got to keep
Brother,
identification.
he wrestles me. That's a bad day for the Shadow Patriot.
Would you
okay?
tussle David? Would you wrestle with David?
I know some Taekwondo, some Jeet Kune Do, a little karate. I know a little bit of everything.
Well, that's cool. That's cool, man. Everybody needs to know that stuff, even if they don't do.
So
whatever.
Would you be against your partner carrying a weapon? Because I mean,
no,
like I had
no.
a clean
If
sword.
you can legal carry, you should do whatever you feel comfortable with.
What, John? What do you
Plain
carry?
and simple.
John, what do you?
I'm sorry.
I'm asking John.
A cane sword.
A cane sword. Okay, that's fine.
Well, there again, you have to check city, local, state laws because a lot of Oriental weaponry is against the law. Oddly enough, you can't carry shuriken, you can't carry sai swords. A lot of Oriental weaponry, which I really don't understand.
What about brass knuckles?
Brass knuckles, I think, are illegal in every state.
I think that's true.
Okay,
and it's really weird. That's really weird. You know, it's strange why we have some of the laws that we have, but there again.
But it's because they're very deadly. They're very, very deadly.
Well, John, you can cancel off Brass Monkey as your superhero name. You're going to be the Brass Knuckles with the monkey. Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of pictures. You have a American flag. Have you ever used that as a weapon?
Never. No, that would be dumb. No, there's a lot of respect. There's a lot of respect that goes with the flag. You have learn the flag code, and you'll see why you don't use it as a weapon.
John, learn the flag code, son. Okay.
Right. I'll put that on the list.
Get it?
Okay. Well, as we're approaching the top of the hour, can you just run back through your mission and maybe expand on the points a little bit, just so that the listeners at home have a clearer idea of what your mission represents?
Yeah. Serve, protect, inform, inspire. I'm here to help the community. I serve the community. I'm here because I want to make my city and my community safer. And when I say serve, that could be picking up trash. That could be, if I see you stopped along the road when I'm on one of my missions, if I can jump you off, cool. If I can change a tire, that's what it's all about. I'm here to help, protect. I want to defend anyone who, for whatever reason, can't defend themselves, no matter what. Black, white, red, blue, Republican, Democrat. I don't ask you your political party before I get involved. Okay, I don't care who you are. I'm here to help and protect you. Inform. I love talking to groups of individuals. If you got a club, if you've got whatever, if you need a speaker, let me in there. Okay. One time I was downtown, there was a group of high school students on the street with their teacher. I walked by, I saluted, I kept going. The teacher said, wait. We want to know what's going on. What are you all about? What's happening? So I told him. And he said, well, we're here to see an American city. We're here in Nashville, and tell us something. Just tell us something. So I don't even remember what I said. But it was, I'm sure, something about this is going to be your country before long. You're the one's going to be in charge. You've got to understand your history. You've got to understand what makes America fantastic and why it is the greatest country in the history of the world. This is yours. It's you. This is what you're all about. Whatever else I said, I don't know. I saluted. I walked away. Suddenly, the air was filled with cheers and screams and hollers and chants of America. They got it. When people say that young people don't get it, they get it. They just haven't been taught the right way. They completely understood every word I said. They cheered until I walked around the corner and out of their view. Then that's all part of the inspiration thing. When people see me do what I do, helping a homeless person, giving them food, giving them clothing, giving a child a flag, that inspires them. I've had people run me down on the street to shake my hand and thank me for what I do. I've had mothers of soldiers come to me in tears and hug me and thank me for not forgetting their children in the service. That's what this mission is all about.
There you go. I think you summed it up perfectly. Really thank you for coming on the show. I mean, people in the chat room have been going crazy. Some comments say this is the best episode we've ever had, ever. So
awesome.
People are obviously popular. Well, you're going to have to get you back on again because I think there's some questions we could ask you, further questions.
Yeah, please. Please, man.
Well, let me ask one more. If someone wanted to contact you, obviously I don't think you have a social media presence, but if someone did want to get in touch with you,
I have to stay under the radar, but you guys have my email address.
So if somebody wants to contact you, they can contact us, and we will contact you.
Can we be your official contact source? I'm being serious right now.
That's cool. That's totally cool.
There we go.
Just as long as you understand, I'm serious about this. I mean, this is not a game with me. And no, I appreciate you guys having me on. I truly do. I love the back and forth, and and I appreciate you guys don't back down. I don't back down. You guys be yourselves. I'll be myself, and I would love to be on, on a regular basis. If you've got questions or some news story, I'll love to be on. Talk to you about it.
Please, let's make that happen. All right. So basically, people need to get in touch with you. They come to us. Blame your brother. Blame your brother. Email us. We got his email. We're not going to share it with anybody, but we will get him messages if you need to. Look for him on the streets. People are very interested. We want to see this documentary go through, so we'll just need to get the word out, get the presence going. But thank you so much for coming on the program today. It was very enlightening. I had a blast with it. I think John and Lee both enjoyed it as well. So we will let you go for now, but we will be in touch very soon. We're going to get you back on the program multiple times because I think people are very interested. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a heroic day.
Take care. Be safe. Have a good night.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the Shadow Patriot on Blame Your Brother. I believe this first podcast appearance ever. If you ever doubted me, if you ever said, David, you're weak, you won't go strong, hopefully you understand now that, number one, that coronavirus talk, unacceptable. Lee, you should not have cut me off. He should not be allowed to be saying those things on a public forum. It's irresponsible. It's wrong. I mean, if you're going to tell me it's not, man, we shouldn't have backed off that.
I mean, I agree with you. I would encourage people to check primary sources wherever they hear coronavirus information, whether it's on this podcast, either any of us saying anything, or Twitter, social media, even from the national government. I would say check your primary sources and get the accurate information always. I wanted to hear his opinion in order to maybe paint a more of a picture of what he is and where he stands on issues. I think it's let people decide for themselves, Okay.
Other than that, hey, the guy wants to go out there and do whatever he's doing, as long as he's not hurting anyone. I mean, we're all going to laugh about it. And, anyone who says they're not, they're lying. It's fine. But if he's out there doing good at the end of the day, which I don't know he's doing any bad, I know he has helped homeless people. I can't knock it too much. Will I be snarky about it? Well, of course I will. But, I'm not going to knock the guy too hard. But, spreading misinformation, we can't be doing that right now. Like, we could do that a year ago. That stuff's got to stop now. Okay. So anyway, I do appreciate him coming on though. And he did. I mean, he's a very serious man, obviously. So closing thoughts, John, what did you think?
My big question I didn't really get to ask is when he said his blood ran redder, I was wondering if he was bitten by a radioactive patriot.
He would not like that question, John Lee. Final thoughts for you.
I think it's really cool to see the Shadow Patriot finally on the podcast, and I do look forward to going on patrol with him. I think we can make that happen, and also maybe getting regular updates on the state of crime in Nashville from the streets directly. I look forward to that.
Well, he has said he will be a regular guest on the program, and when this coronavirus stuff, I mean, it could be 6 months. I can't wait to have him in studio or wherever we meet him. Not in studio, but wherever we can meet him at. And if you have a question for him, you heard him, hit us up. And there's ways to do that. You can email us, of course, bybpod@gmail.com, or sneak in those DMs on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You guys do it all the time. You know how to do it. So if you got any questions about him, let us know. Go check out all of our lovely program. We're putting out great episodes, and this is going to be another great one as well. You know, you go to the site, blameyourbro.com, all the articles, all the websites to help you out during these quarantine times. Guys, it was lovely talking to you. It was lovely talking to the Shadow Patriot. And I guess with all that being said, Lee, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your
Shadow Patriot
brother.
Welcome to Memory of the Week. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, the 93rd day of 2020. There are 273 days left in the year. On April 2nd, 1865, President Jefferson Davis and most of the Confederate cabinet fled the Confederate capital in Virginia because of advancing Union forces. That is today's Memory of the Week. Stay safe and take care of each other. David, John, back to you.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.